Scoreless as we head to the bottom half of the second inning, the Rays and the Kansas City Royals. We are joined by a very busy guy in the last month, Matt Silverman, president of baseball operations for the Rays, but it really got intense, Matt, I would think, in the last 24 hours. When you woke up today, was your anticipation that you might be able to do this much, or did this even surprise you?
Surprised us a little. Coming into the deadline, I thought we might do one deal, possibly two. Three was not one that we expected, but some of the conversations took turns that made it conducive for us to be able to make these deals and put our organization in a position to be better going forward.
We'll start, I guess, chronologically. Brandon Guyer's the first deal of the day, at least the first one that we find out about with the Cleveland Indians. That was one that was really not on anybody's radar. You have some right-handed outfielders with Mikey Mato coming back and Desmond back today. Was that part of the consideration, that was a position of strength?
It was a position of strength for us, and it's a crowded outfield. Wanted to make sure that we had the at-bats going forward for some of the players that we have to get to know better what we have going into next year, and to be able to figure out how we're going to organize the club next year. Brandon's a great baseball player, and he's been with us for a long time. He goes into a pennant race, and he's going to be a big factor for the Indians. They've liked him for a long time. And we were able to free up that spot and get a couple minor league players we put in our system and let them develop. An athletic outfielder who's going to go to Port Charlotte, a young pitcher, young arm in the GCL who throws 97. And you can't have too many of those kind of guys. A good deal for us and a good deal for Cleveland.
Steven Souza Jr. retired for the first out of the inning. He's batting cleanup today. The guy that was going to bat cleanup, Steve Pearce, is now back with the Orioles. Feel good for him, but obviously a great guy on the team and in the clubhouse to lose. Tell us about what you got in return and why you felt it was the right move to make.
We got a catcher named Anaheim who's going to go to Port Charlotte, and he's a good defensive catcher, looks the part. Guys like throwing to him. Offense needs to develop, and that's the bet that we're making with him. But another good catcher to go into our system, and just like young arms, you can't have too many young catchers as we try to develop and grow our own. It's not an easy transaction, but as one, Steve Pearce made himself at home, and he was one of the leaders in our clubhouse. Fit in really well. Maybe he's going to come back here at some point. I mean, he's the kind of guy that we thought was going to be a big part of a pennant run for us. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. He gets to do that in Baltimore.
And then we kind of buried the lead. The big trade of the day was Matt Moore. And all the speculation was at some point one of your starters might get traded. And again, a position of strength, a position with depth, especially guys coming back from Tommy John rehab. What was the key to that deal finally getting accomplished? And Matt Moore obviously was much sought after, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, our pitching is sought after. We've been able to develop pitchers. We have a lot of them. We don't take that depth. We make sure that we keep that depth. At the same time, we have to allocate and make sure that we address other areas of need for our club. Matt Moore has done everything we'd ever want him to do. I mean, he's been in our organization for almost a decade. A great guy too, and it's really hard to say goodbye. We're able to make our club this year and next year better with Matt Duffy, and it was a good fit for us to be able to bring in a young infielder who can be a big part of the future of this organization. Can get us back to that competitive stance that we want to be in next year, and we believe that we have the pitching depth to be able to move on without Matt Moore and still be a very good baseball team.
We saw Duffy earlier this year with the Giants at third base. That's obviously not going to be his position moving forward with the Rays.
No, and he's a great defensive third baseman, but we have our franchise player. Duffy came up as a shortstop, and we've liked him for a couple years. We tried to acquire him a couple years ago. He had the opportunity at third base with the Giants. They have Crawford at short. But for us, we think he can be a very good shortstop. He's going to get the chance to play there, and it frees up Brad Miller, who's an everyday player for us, to bounce around a little bit. He's a shortstop too. We have the luxury of having a number of shortstops. Those guys can play all over the place, but the bat of Brad Miller is one that is incredibly valuable to us.
And an opportunity to see what Matt Andriese can do as a part of your rotation.
Yeah, he's earned that opportunity. Erasmo Ramirez earned that opportunity also. We're going to get a chance to see more innings out of those guys, make sure that we have a good sense of what a rotation can be like next year, and see what Matt can do. I mean, he's certainly impressed in the few appearances we've been able to give him. He's impressed out of the pen, and now we'll get to see what he can do in the rotation.
Final thing, Matt, as you got closer to that final hour, we're probably not going to have time here, but we'll ask, was the last hour as crazy from afar as it seemed from afar?
Yeah, we got the deals done with 10 seconds to go.
Well, there you go. We've got less than 10 seconds to go to break. Thank you very much, Matt, and we'll have more Rays baseball after this.